Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello guys.
One, two, three, come on!
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello guys. Before we start, I want to introduce myself. My name is Nurul Salsabila and you can call me Salsa. I study in University of Makassar and I'm majoring English education, but location in Parepare. So, my university has 5 campus locations. 3 in Makassar, 1 is in Bone, and the others is in Parepare. So, I choose a campus that is in Parepare. I am from Makassar, but I study in Parepare because maybe I want find my new experience. So, many people ask me why I choose campus in Parepare. Maybe some people prefer to study in a big city like Makassar, but I have a different opinion. I live in Makassar, precisely in Cendrawasih Street. So, this is my first time I make a video and uploading it on YouTube. I think. But, no. I think I've made a video before. I have a text from my lectures to improve my listening skills, so we formed a group and made the video. The video name's Cooking, and the title of the video is How to Make a Sandwich. The video is here and you can watch in YouTube, and don't forget to like and subscribe because it's more important to us. But not on this channel, in my friend's channel, so you can check after you watch this video. So, this is my second video on YouTube. As we know, YouTube is very useful for learning media and educational media. Many teachers and students use YouTube to study and provide learning material via video. My first experience making video to upload in YouTube is very difficult. Maybe some people consider this normal, but is it different with the beginners? Honestly, I don't want to make videos on YouTube, but because this is my achievement, so I must to do that. But it's good because it adds a lot of experience. In my opinion, make a video is not easy. We have to record it, edit it, and set the video concept. I hope you will not get bored with my video because this time I will discuss the progress of learning during the corona pandemic, where we will learn online classes. So, in this time, we will discuss about Covid-19 or coronavirus. So, what is coronavirus? Coronavirus disease or Covid-19 is an infectious disease caused by newly discovered coronavirus. Most people infected with the Covid-19 virus will experience mild to moderate respiratory illness and recover without requiring special treatment. Older people and those with underlying medical problems like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, and cancer are more likely to develop serious illness. The best way to prevent and slow down transmission is be well informed about the COVID-19 virus, the disease it causes, and how it spreads. Protect yourself and others from infection by washing your hand or using an alcohol-based rub frequently and not your touching your face. The COVID-19 virus spreads primarily through droplets or saliva or discharge from the nose when an infected person coughs or sneezes. So, it's important that you also practice respiratory etiquette. For example, by coughing into a flexed elbow. At this time, there are no specific vaccines or treatments for COVID-19. However, there are many ongoing clinical trials evaluating potential treatments. World Health Organization will continue to provide updates information as soon as clinical findings become available. So, the next is symptoms of corona. So, the next is symptoms of corona. Some people ask, what are the symptoms of someone infected with a coronavirus? So the answer is, it depends on the virus, but common things include respiratory symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath, and breathing difficulties. In more severe cases, infection can use pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, kidney failure, and even death. Some people ask, can coronaviruses be transmitted from person to person? The answer is yes. Some coronavirus can be transmitted from person to person, usually after close contact with an infected patient. For example, in household, workplace, or healthcare center. People with COVID-19 have had a wide range of symptoms reported, ranging from mild symptoms to severe illness. Symptoms may appear 2 until 14 days after exposure to the virus. People with these symptoms may have COVID-19, fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. This list does not include all possible symptoms. CDC will continue to update this list as we learn more about COVID-19. So, the next is the first case in the world. China's first confirmed COVID-19 case traced back to November 17. The first case of someone in China suffering from COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus, can be traced back to November 17, according to government data seen by the South China Morning Post. China's authorities have so far identified at least 266 people who were infected last year, all of whom came under medical surveillance at some point. Some of the cases were likely backdated after health authorities had tested specimens taken from suspected patients. Interviews with whistleblowers from the medical community suggest China's doctor only released they were dealing with a new disease in late December. Scientists have been trying to map the pattern of the early transmission of COVID-19 since an epidemic was reported in the central China city of Wuhan in January. 2 months before, the outbreak became a global health crisis. Understanding how the disease spread and determining how undetected and undocumented cases contribute to this transmission will greatly improve their understanding of the size of their threat. According to government data seen by the Post, a 55 years old from Hubei province could have been the first person to have contracted COVID-19 on November 17. By December 15, the total number of infections stood at 27. The first double-digit daily rise was reported on December 17. And by December 20, the total number of confirmed cases had reached 60. On December 27, Sang Jiang, a doctor from Hubei Provincial Hospital of Integrated Chinese and Western Medicine, told China's health authorities that the disease was caused by a new coronavirus. By that day, more than 180 people had been infected. To Dr. Marks not have been aware of all of them at the time. By the final day of 2019, the number of confirmed cases had risen to 266. On the first day of 2020, it stood at 381. The next is Indonesia confirms first coronavirus cases in its territory. Indonesia has confirmed 2 novel coronavirus cases in its territory after diagnosing 2 women living in Depok, a West Java suburb just outside Jakarta, who came in contact with a Japanese man coming from Malaysia who was already infected with the virus several days ago. Health Minister Agus Terawan Putranto said the woman had tested positive for the SARS-CoV-2, a new strain of the coronavirus that causes the pneumonia-like COVID-19 disease, and are now kept in isolation at the Professor Dr. Sulianti Saroso Hospital for Infectious Diseases in North Jakarta. When we first found out about the Japanese man's confirmed with coronavirus case in Malaysia, a team in Indonesia went straight away to track down his activities and who he had met her, President Jokowi said. Now, we found these 2 women, a 64 years old woman and her 31 years old daughter, positive with the virus, he said. The announcement came on Tuesday after weeks of speculation from foreign health experts who were skeptical of Indonesia's claim that it had been spared of the virus despite its close trade and tourism links with China and Wuhan. Last week, Japan said identified a man who had contracted the coronavirus after returning from Indonesia. Last weekend, the New Zealand authorities also reported a woman, aged in her 60s, arriving from Iran with the coronavirus after spending an unidentified time transiting in Bali. The Indonesian government has insisted it has the capability to detect the virus early and contain its spread. President Jokowi said it has 100 hospitals across the country with the capability to treat patients infected with the novel coronavirus, having previous experience in containing the spread of the Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome or SARS and the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome or MERS, the other diseases caused by the coronavirus family.
Oleh sebab itu, begitu ada informasi minggu yang lalu ada informasi bahwa ada orang Jepang yang ke Indonesia, kemudian tinggal di Malaysia dan dicek di sana ternyata positif corona. Tim dari Indonesia langsung menelusuri. Orang Jepang ini ke Indonesia bertamu ke siapa, bertemu dengan siapa, ditelusuri dan ketemu. Sudah ditemukan, ternyata orang yang telah terkena virus corona ini berhubungan dengan 2 orang seorang ibu yang umurnya 64 tahun dan putrinya yang berumur 31 tahun. Dicek oleh tim kita pada posisi yang sakit. Dicek dan tadi pagi saya mendapatkan laporan dari Pak Menteri Kesehatan bahwa ibu ini dan putrinya positif corona.
We have the 100 hospital with good isolation standard. We have enough reagents and standard operating procedures that match international standards. We've deployed join them comprising the police, the military, and the medical workers to deal with this issue, Jokowi said. If we are not serious in handling this, it can be very dangerous, the president said. Studies emerging out China, the center of the outbreak, so far suggested the virus appears through droplets caught out by infected patients. The droplets can survive on a solid surface for up to 2 days. Experts say the most effective way to avoid getting infected is by washing your hands with soap regularly, keeping a meter distance from people, and avoid touching face, shaking hands, or touching surfaces in public areas. So, this is diagram COVID-19 in Indonesia. People infected about 31,186 people. 1,851 people died and 10,498 people recovered. And below that are cities affected by COVID-19. It's different from in United States. In US, people are infected about 2,007,449. 112,469 people died and 761,708 people recovered. So, the total number of people affected by COVID-19 in the world is 6,981,707 people. Next is theory conspiracy about COVID-19. A lot of conspiracies regarding the coronavirus. One of them is Bill Gates' conspiracy theory. I have an article about Bill Gates' conspiracy theory about COVID-19. So, this is the article. Bill Gates' microchip conspiracy theory and other vaccine claims fact-checked. Speculation about the future coronavirus vaccine is ramping up, and social media posts from anti-vaccination campaigners are gaining more traction online. We've been debunking a few recent claims. Why the microchips rumors don't stack up? First up, a conspiracy theory about vaccine that has spanned the globe. It claims that the coronavirus pandemic is a cover for a plan to implant trackable microchips and that the Microsoft CEO founder Bill Gates is behind it. We've found no evidence to support these claims. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation told the BBC the claim was false. The head of the Russian Communist Party this week said that so-called globalists supported a covert mass chip implantation, which they may in time resort to under the pretext of a mandatory vaccination against coronavirus. He didn't mention Mr. Gates by name, but in the US, Roger Stone, a former advisor to Donald Trump, said Bill Gates and others were using the virus for microchipping people so we can tell whether you've been tested. A new YouGov poll of 1,600 people suggests that 28% of Americans believe that Bill Gates wants to use vaccines to implant microchips in people, with the figure rising to 44% among Republicans. Rumors took hold in March when Mr. Gates said in an interview that eventually we will have some digital certificates, which would be used to show who recovered, been tested, and ultimately who received a vaccine. He made no mention of Microsoft. That response led to one widely shared article under the headline, "Bill Gates will use microchip implants to fight coronavirus." The article makes reference to a study funded by the Gates Foundation into technology that could store someone's vaccine's record in a special ink. However, the technology is not a microchip and is more like an invisible tattoo. It has not been rolled out yet, would not allow people to be tracked, and personal information would not be entered into a database, says Anna Jacquelinek, a scientist involved in the study. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation says the reference to digital certificates relates to efforts to create an open-source digital platform with the goal of expanding access to safe, home-based testing. Bill Gates did not say this about a vaccine. The Microsoft billionaire has been the target of many different false rumors about vaccines. A recent post on a UK-based Twitter account said, Bill Gates admits the vaccine will no doubt kill 700,000 people, and links to a video featuring right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. The claim in the tweet, which has had more than 45,000 retweets and likes, is false and misrepresents Gates' word. In the video, Mr. Gates is talking about the effectivity of vaccine in older people and cautions about the risks of side effects. He sets out a hypothetical situation about the potential harm of side effects, saying, if we were have 1 in 10,000 side effects, that's way more. 700,000 people who will suffer from that. He does not admit 700,000 will die from a vaccine. Conspiracy theories about Bill Gates have reached the Italian parliament, where an independent MP called for Bill Gates to be referred to the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Next is protecting yourself and others from the severe COVID-19. You can reduce your chances of being infected of spreading COVID-19 by taking some simple precautions. 1. Regularly and thoroughly clean your hands with an alcohol-based hand rub or wash them with soap and water. Why? Washing your hands with soap and water or using alcohol-based hand rub kills viruses that may be on your hands. Second, maintain at least 1 meter or 3 feet distance between yourself and the others. Why? When someone coughs, sneezes, or speaks, they spray small liquid droplets from their nose or mouth, which may contain virus. If you have to lose, you can breathe in the droplets, including the COVID-19 virus, if the person has the disease. Third, avoid going to crowded places. Why? Where people come together in crowds, you are more likely to come into close contact with someone that has COVID-19, and it is more difficult to maintain physical distance of 1 meter or 3 feet. Fourth, avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Why? Hands touch many surfaces and can pick up viruses. One contaminated hand can transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. From there, the virus can enter your body and infect you. Fifth, make sure you and the people around you follow good respiratory hygiene. This means covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneezes. Dispose of the used tissue immediately and wash your hand. Why? Droplets spread virus. By following good respiratory hygiene, you protect the people around you from viruses such as cold, flu, and Covid-19. Sixth, stay home and self-isolation even with minor symptoms such as cough, headache, mild fever until we recover. Have some dangerous supplies. If you need to leave your house, wear a mask to avoid infection or why? Avoiding contact with others will protect them from possible COVID-19 and other viruses. 7. If you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention, but call by telephone in event is possible and follow the directions of your local health authority. Why? National and local authorities will have the most up-to-date information on the situation in your area. Calling in advance will allow your health care provider to quickly direct you to the right healthy facility. This will also protect you and help prevent spread of viruses and other infections. The last is keep up to date on the latest information from trusted sources such as WHO or your local and national health authorities. Why? Local and national authorities are best placed to advise or what people in your area should be doing to protect themselves. Advice on the safe use of alcohol-based hand sanitizer. To protect yourself and others against COVID-19, clean your hands frequently and thoroughly. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer or wash your hands with soap and water. If you use an alcohol hand sanitizer, make sure you use and store it carefully. Like 1. Keep alcohol-based hand sanitizer out of children's reach. Teach them how to apply the sanitizer and monitor its use. The second is apply a coin-sized amount on your hands. There is no need to use a large amount of the product. Third is avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose immediately after using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, as it can cause irritation. Next is hand sanitizers recommended to protect against COVID-19 are alcohol-based and therefore can be flammable. Do not use before handling fire or cooking. Next is under no circumstance drink or let children swallow an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. It can be poisonous. Next is remember that washing your hand with soap and water is also effective against COVID-19. The next is progress study during the coronavirus. When corona began to enter Indonesian territory, the government quickly took action to dismiss its people and apply lockdown. Lockdown means a situation that prohibits residents from entering a place because of an emergency. Lockdown can also mean a country that closed its borders so that no one enters or exits their country. One of them is schooling and lecturers. On my campus or at University of Makassar, we began to take a break in March 2020. The following is an article about the close of schooling and lecturers. The next is Indonesia closes schools across archipelago as virus cases spike. Indonesia ordered schools to close across much of the archipelago as authorities scrambled to contain a sudden spike in coronavirus cases, which included a minister who tested positive for the disease. Thousands of schools across the provinces of West Java, Central Java, Banten, and Bali will remain closed in addition to those in capital Jakarta for at least 2 weeks, local media reported. Authorities will review if the shutdown needs to be extended beyond March. The government reiterated its appeal for public calm and advised people to limit their activities. It is time to work from home, study from home, and pray from home, President Joko Widodo said in a televised press conference on Sunday. Indonesia has reported about 83 new cases of infection since Friday, taking the total to 117, with 5 fatalities after no report of the deadly disease since the first week of March. 8 patients have been discharged from the hospital. State Secretary Pratikno said in a televised press conference in Jakarta on Saturday that Transport Minister Budi Karya Sumadi had tested positive for the novel coronavirus. Jokowi said his minister had been tested for Covid-19 and he would take the test in the afternoon. The nation has so far avoided imposing a lockdown or declaring a national emergency. We see several countries with early outbreaks imposing lockdown with all ensuing consequences, Jokowi said. There are also countries not imposing lockdown but are taking tight measures to minimize the outbreak. The government is working closely with the World Health Organization and is following its protocols, Jokowi said. In capital Jakarta, retailers will set shopping limits to prevent panic buying, Governor Anies Baswedan said. The city, with more than 9.6 million inhabitants, is ready to go into lockdown, with Baswedan saying it was time to limit people entering and leaving Jakarta. The finance ministers, as well as several other ministers, all about employees to work from home under certain conditions. State firms across the country will operate as usual, according to a statement by state-owned enterprises ministry, but the ministry itself will limit its internal activities. The country's Statistics Bureau cancelled its regular trade press briefing scheduled for 11 a.m. on Monday. It will upload the February trade data on its website instead. Jokowi set up a task force to combat the coronavirus outbreak, weeks after the government faced criticism for not responding faster to detect COVID-19. The task force is headed by the National Disaster Mitigation Agency, the country's main body that leads relief efforts when a disaster strikes. Next is student reaction about closed lecturer. Many of us are happy to be closed and can go home. We can get back together with our family. Maybe COVID-19 has some wisdom too, but we would not have talked if this year's holiday would be so long. To be honest, there are some of us who are starting to get sad because college or schooling is being delayed until next year, but that's the best. If we break the rules of the government, it will harm ourselves. Ferry said, "We know that we will part with classmates. We were close before the corona outbreak became more widespread in Indonesia, so as to avoid interesting the number of people who were positive of corona. The actions of the campus were very good. All students accept it. The area in Makassar enters the red zone, so the government takes action so that people live at home, worship at home, and school at home. Many plans have been prepared for school holidays, but almost all of them are absolutely cancelled because it is to assist the government in dealing with the spread of the coronavirus. Honestly, when at home, too much homework must be done, with parents who do not understand the text assigned by the lecturers to me. Even though it often feels like lying down, but it is not calm when continuing to do text. Do not focus with the lever, who always advises not to linger with a cell phone even longer for a long time silent outside, who actually does the text and look for networks or signals. The next is online classes during the pandemic. Regarding 6 months, the government applies online classes or schools at home. Online lectures is a lecture system that utilizes internet access as a learning medium that is designed and displayed in the form of lectures models, video recording, audio, or writing by academics or universities. However, this also has an impact that is considered less than optimal in the learning process. Online learning or e-learning is the result of learning delivered electronically using computers and computers-based media. The source comes from the website, internet, CD-ROM, and DVD. E-learning is not only accesses information but also guides students to achieve specific learning outcomes. The potential for online learning education application has developed. Students can not only access knowledge from books, lessons, but can also access subject material from outside the school. Teachers and students can get a lot of information, unlimited, and can be accessed from several libraries around the world. The next is students' reaction to online classes. One of my friends explained that online lecture raises its own pros and cons. For positive things, online lectures can be done at home so that we can be close to family at home. But from the negative side, we cannot discuss like a general lecture by meeting face to face, not to mention there are obstacles that make this lecture disturbing. Many students are starting to miss campus and hope the lecturers can run as they normally do, he added. Not only that, the problem that is often experienced by students when studying online is an unstable signal and limited internet quota. This certainly can disturb the course of online lectures. Online lectures train students to be independent so that students not only learn through lectures but also have to find other sources of knowledge such as in books, literature, and so on, so that student learning can also be optimal, he said. The next is all about the advantages and disadvantages of online learning. Nowadays, online learning turns out to be more and more practiced. Many traditional universities started to share their courses online for free. It represents an easy and comfortable method to achieve knowledge in almost every field, from law and accounting to human science such as psychology and sociology or history. Online learning is a great alternative to traditional universities, especially for people who can't afford the time and money to take real courses. But what are the advantages and disadvantages for online learning? Advantages of online learning. Although many people still consider traditional universities as the best way to achieve knowledge and get a diploma, online learning provides to be a great alternative. Students have the chance to study in their own time and especially for free. It represents a great way to study many fields and to boost the level of self-motivation. Online learning is so effective because students can finish their homework quickly and there is more time left for hobbies on finding a job. And access to all resources of traditional course helps participants learn wherever they are, leaving them the freedom to choose the time for study. With basically an internet connection, a person can attend different courses. Among the advantages of online learning, there are the responsibility and self-discipline capable of students. Disadvantage of online learning. Only in a small group, a person can develop properly. At school, students learn how to make friends, be patient, get rid of disappointment, and especially to compete. Competition between colleges can be very stimulating and students will only benefit from it. Online learning cannot offer human interaction. Another disadvantage refers to the fact that online courses cannot cope with the thousands of students that try to join discussions. Also, online learning can be difficult if it is meant for disciplines that involve practice. In conclusion, online learning should be seen as a complement and extension of classical forms of learning. Not even the best online course can fully replace the personal contact with a teacher or the human relationships that developing in growth. So, traditional classes shouldn't be replaced with online learning. The next is online classes versus traditional classes. Online classes and traditional classes or physical classes are two types of learning. They both cater to almost the same kind of education and offer quality learning. You will have teachers and you will be following courses, outlines of the lessons, and examination involved in the lesson. Online classes are usually for independent students. You do not have any classmates. It's just you and the teacher. The class functions on a hourly basis, while in traditional classes, you will have classmates and peers. You will also have different teachers and you will be spending the whole day in school depending on your age. Online classes are also good for an individual student because the full focus is with you alone and no other students can disturb the class. When the attention is slowly on you, you can easily understand the lesson, and most online classes can be taken by the students on safe schedule. While in a traditional class, some students have a very short attention span. Some are not listening and not all the lessons are absorbed by the students. If you're a student who wants to work alone or could not take regular traditional classes due to time and other constraints, online classes are best for you. You won't have any problems with peers or groups. You will enjoy doing a project alone and studying the subject alone. The teachers will just guide you through the class outline and discussions. If you're a student, however, who wants to be with people around you and work with people, then a traditional class is better for you. You can work alone or with a group depending on the activity given. Online classes and traditional classes greatly differ in the effect of learning. In traditional classes, you will have more hands-on activity than online classes. In traditional classes, most materials are provided by the school, while in online classes, you will be the one to provide all your materials needed. What's also good about online classes is you can automatically research about the 6 months given on the internet. Your resources are available on the internet. In traditional classes, you can automatically do the research in school, especially when there are no available computer or other research materials. Not only schools have complete research materials like public schools. Most people prefer traditional classes than online classes because with traditional classes, you will not only study and learn through the discussion of the teachers, but you will also learn how to socialize with other people. You can also build your confidence in mingling with different kinds of people. You can also do a lot of physical activities and you can build a great relationship with your classmates. In online classes, socializing with others is limited. The only person you will be talking to is your teacher during the classes. Some students choose online classes while others prefer traditional. There are also some who want both. In any case, whichever the student chooses, what is important are the benefits taken from each type of education. The next is, what media do lecturers usually use for online classroom? The media that lecturers or teachers use to use online classes is WhatsApp application, Google Classroom or Zoom and many more. Especially my lecturers use WhatsApp application, Google Classroom or use video from YouTube. As we know, WhatsApp can help us communicate with lectures online while YouTube can help us to learn. YouTube also has many videos we can do at home. We can study, exercise, worship at home alone. Teaching and learning activities through the online system or online are currently being intensively implemented by school and college in a coronavirus outbreak. This is applied to avoid face-to-face and crowding in the class, which makes it easier to spread the coronavirus. However, it is not uncommon for students to encounter obstacles when undergoing online lectures. Apart from being hampered by slow internet networks as well as the material being studied, it sometimes fails to understand, especially if the lecturer gives material and immediately gives an assignments. So, there are some students who are not familiar with the material. Although sometimes the lecturer gives material through voice message or provides a video from YouTube, but some students have problem with the network and it makes students late to collect assignments. The next is, can online classes improve learning progress or vice versa? In my opinion, online classes have good and bad points, but if asked about whether online classes can improve learning, my answer is no. On the contrary, online classes are not like physical classes where we learn face-to-face directly. Another case with online classes that have many obstacles. Examples such as network constraints, internet package constraints, and material constraints. According to various students, online classes are not as effective as physical classes. Many students think that online classes are not what they want. Sometimes there are lecturers who can accept the understand situation during the corona pandemic, and there are also some lecturers who do not accept the state of students during the COVID pandemic. Examples such as collecting delayed assignments. During online learning, many students are not familiar with the material lecturers provide and are not satisfied with learning, but it depends on each student. Studying online also has many benefits and is useful for students. Students are taught to study independently and so they can understand technology. It is hoped that future online lectures can be more effective than now, but more expected that there will be no online classes due to the coronavirus pandemic problem, so that we can study again and be able to meet with lecturers and friends. So far my video about the progress of learning during the corona pandemic. I thank you and don't forget to like this video. I want to say sorry if there is a word wrong or the wrong grammar. Thank you very much.